Alright guys, and this is the Aninounce ending the week of Friday the 13th. I'm Brian, the guy who doesn't really do this show, but I'm here guest hosting because of reasons. Anyways, let's get into the news. So on February 12th, the 41st Super Sentai series called Uchū Sentai Kyūranger will begin airing. The name of the series translates to Space Squadron Kyūranger. The show relates back to the end of an old series called Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. And if you guys haven't already heard about Super Sentai, it's kind of an elusive series embodying like a hall of rangers. It's really easy to confuse Uchū Sentai Kyūranger, the thing they're doing now, with like something like Power Rangers, because it's so damn similar to like everything Super Sentai does. And I think, you know, with shows like this, it's kind of like shonen, when you see things like Naruto and Bleach and going forever, like Super Sentai series, the 41st Super Sentai series, guys, that's kind of overbearing. And I probably won't watch this as much as because this is probably catered towards kids, but it's what it is, and it's kind of cool to see it still going on, because, you know, it's kind of like the spirit of like the Rangers and like childhood and nostalgia. They still kept it up, and I think that's pretty cool of them to do. And for the Gundam fans out there, the upcoming Gunpla exhibition at Nagoya Parko in Japan will be revealing Iron-Blooded Orphan's Barbatos New Form. The new model will be called Barbatos Lupus, and again, going back on sequels and things going on forever, we have Gundam, which is a kind of a series that never really dies. For reasons, it is kind of the same reasons that I would attribute to like shonen things. You kind of have the spirit of going on forever, and Gundam series really does embody that as well. I'm not necessarily following Iron-Blooded Orphans or Gundam series, but it is what it is. Our next piece of news, Kazuma Kamachi, the author of the original light novel series for a certain magical index and a certain scientific railgun, and also heavy object, will be launching a big project, as he calls it, for 2017. And he hasn't really done much other than magical index and railgun, and obviously heavy object, but we can see that, you know, him saying a big project might be a good thing for us, considering how a lot of people are indebted to Magical Index and Railgun, saying it, you know, I haven't seen it, but people do say it's a pretty good show. Heavy Object, who's to say, but, you know, Railgun has been pretty successful, has spawned, you know, a lot of light novels and series, so maybe his next big project will also be a big hit. Though with big hits, we kind of have to, you know, go in with a grain of salt, because when we hear things like big project, the thing that popped into my mind is No Man's Sky, which was a really big project, really ambitious, and didn't really do well for itself. So going into this, I don't really have any expectations for Kazuma for you know, his big project. And, you know, considering we don't have any information on it, you know, that's really really big of himself to say things about his new project, considering he hasn't really given us much to go off of. And on Tuesday, producers MAGES, or, you know, MAGES, known for producing things like Aldona Zero, Plastic Memories, and the Steins Gate movie, announced that they were producing an original anime called Lost Song. They currently do not have a date for the anime, but they do have some concept art out and some starring roles, including Konomi Suzuki and Yukari Tamura. Konomi being an anime performer and getting her first full-fledged voice acting duty for Lost Song, while Yukari is already a voice actor known for roles like Nui Hari in Kill la Kill and Mei Tsunohara in Clannad, and she has done some anime work. And, you know, with the limited information we have on Lost Song, other than the tagline, that song changes even the destiny of the stars, we, you know, going into it, even though Mages has produced, you know, really good productions like, you know, Plastic Memories, it was okay, it was decent. Steins Gate movie was, you know, really good. Aldona Zero, it's all produced things like Punchline, and as a producer, again, Mages is a producer, not a studio, so we can't really, you know, hinge things on Mages for making a good show, because it's not a studio, it's a producer. But if it is producing a completely original work of art, then, or an anime, then we kind of have to give it some leeway for whether it will be a good show, which I think with the staff on it, or the starring roles at least, it might be a pretty interesting show. And the art is very vindicative of a really interesting show. But again, we don't have much information going off of it. So again, with many of the news coming out this week, don't go in with too high of expectations, because again, expectations does kill a lot of things. On a sadder note, on Monday, Platinum Studios, who, you know, may have heard from doing things like Scalebound, which they announced on E3 2014. That's 3 years ago. You know, Scalebound kind of got cancelled, yeah. So Scalebound was slated for Xbox One and PC, but got cancelled. And it's pretty sad seeing that a 3-year production all of a sudden got shut down. Director of Scalebound, Hideki Kamiya, tweeted about the situation with hopes of future projects making it out of the cutting board. And if you haven't heard of Platinum Studios before, you may have heard their other work for the PS4, Nier Automata, and it is a PS4 exclusive that's being released and hopefully not cancelled, which at this point with a demo, it probably won't. And even with Scalebound's demos being, showcased on E3, it still got cancelled. And a lot of people criticized Scalebound for, its characters and a lot of things that didn't really feel right in the demos, though. Looking at the demos, it did look like a really amazing game. If you haven't heard of Scalebound before, it's kind of like if you saw Final Fantasy, the recent Final Fantasy that came out, it kind of adapts that combat system, but add a dragon to it, and just having that kind of fantasy, medieval, like high fantasy techish, like it's really strange thing. Even looking at the newest Final Fantasy, like you see like monsters with like, and they're riding like a car, the car bros, like it's really weird world. And Scalebound really like adapts that with dragons, and a game with dragons that isn't, like really kiddie is pretty rare, especially, this is being, Microsoft was behind this and they canceled it because issues with like, the engines, and it was just stuck in like development hell forever. And that was kind of sad because I was kind of looking forward to Scalebound whenever they released it. It looked like a damn awesome game, but everything going back to No Man's Sky, some things aren't meant to be. And to end this week, on Friday, a Japanese schoolteacher in Fukushima apologized for threatening his elementary students by writing their names. According to a local media outlet in Fukushima, the teacher showed 4 students an image of the Deathnote on his tablet, saying that he was going to write their names in the Deathnote. Afterwards, the school held in a Deathnote. Teacher's action saying it was unsuitable. Well, yeah, if you threaten your students with a Deathnote, it pretty much is unsuitable considering you don't do that shit. But, I mean, it's clearly a joke with Deathnote, and I want to say, if you do this with someone else, like if it wasn't elementary school kids, like if it was like high school or like even university, or with people who understand, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. I mean, it is a pretty like, I mean, they aired Deathnote to me when I was a kid here, and I don't know, it just seems pretty weird that that he'd even do such a thing, but still, it's a pretty funny story, seeing Deathnote fret. Anyway, that was Aninounce, and remember to watch our other content, because we do have other otaku related content like my show, Analyze, or our podcast, or we're also making other shows, so stay tuned for that. Follow us on Twitter, and maybe subscribe or stick around, because you won't be informed unless you're in the box.